Hello, fellow travelers. My name is Sandra Rojo, and I'm the founder of Journey to Authentic Living, also known as JTAL. JTAL is devoted to helping people gain fulfillment and meaning in their lives through health, wellness, and personal development. And that also means discovering attributes that are uniquely yours in order to live out a purposeful life that fits you as an individual. We believe that by you discovering your unique qualities, you have great potential to live from a place of authenticity. So in a previous video, I addressed the topic of what is authentic living. And in that video, I briefly discussed some examples of not living authentically. And today, I'd like to address in greater detail some of the biggest impediments to living authentically. Let me begin by refreshing your memory of how we at JTAL define authentic living. So it's essentially living a fulfilling and rewarding life by your individual purpose and truth. But as many of you might imagine, there are frequently a myriad of impediments to that. So now let's address what I consider to be some of the biggest impediments to authentic living and what you can do to potentially overcome them. For the brevity of this video, I will be naming just a few impediments, but as you can imagine, there are many, many more. So first example, trying to do too much. Example of that would be, for example, parents who take their children to sporting events, music practice, play dates, etc., overextending themselves, right? Or on a personal level, for example, when we're working a lot, when we have not just one hobby, but multiple hobbies, dabbling here and dabbling there, while trying to maintain a social life and exercise and keep healthy and all those other things. And then we wonder why we don't feel fulfilled or successful. So a consideration is a book that I love. I discovered a few years ago when it was a nobody's book, is what I would call. Now it's becoming a lot more popular. And I hope you can see it. It's called Essentialism. And it's by Greg McKeown. And it's fabulous. This is a great book. Basically, essentialism is practicing the disciplined pursuit of less. I'm going to repeat that. It's practicing the disciplined pursuit of less. Now, Greg, for sure, is not the only person to write on priorities and how to overcome fears of maybe not getting it all done and all this good stuff. We've got authors that have been the leading, really, leaders of like Stephen Covey and Brian Clemmer, John Maxwell, for example. Books on leadership. These are great books to read, by the way. Whichever ones you guys choose of any of these authors, great. What I like about Greg's book is he's just gives some practical examples, and he does reiterate, throughout the book how important it is to figure out what's important to you. So the second impediment is trying too hard to please others. Okay, we can all probably relate to this at some point in our lives. An example could be when perhaps we're not feeling good about ourselves or not worthy enough. Sometimes these feelings don't always play out on a very conscious level. They're sometimes subconscious. And so we are trying to fit into a group, or we're new to our job. We're evaluating sort of where we fit in. This could be an example. And we're really trying too hard, right? Because we desire a connection, logically, right? With other people. And when we are trying too hard to please other people and realize they don't reciprocate, we may end up feeling disappointed. So a consideration would be creating healthy boundaries. Again, another huge topic, boundaries. A lot has been written on this, and this is part of authentic living, by the way, creating healthy boundaries. But an example also to sort of bring it into practice is, check in with your body. See how you feel. If it's on a Wednesday and your friends have invited you, or you've programmed to go out on the weekend and go clubbing and doing this and doing that, and you're finding out that you really don't feel like doing that, or you just simply don't want to, and you want to back out. Learning to say no is extremely important in general. So I would give you this consideration to mull over. The third one is living your life primarily for others. So an example of this would be if we have some high standards for ourselves and we're used to taking care of everything for ourselves, right? And we don't know when to ask for help. We don't have someone to delegate or help us with certain things in our lives, right? Because we may be a caregiver for a family member, or we find ourselves dedicating too much time to our boss at work, or, we've been in a long-term helping situation for a distressed loved one or friend, right? So we can get lost because we may be too responsible. We see that our loved one or friends are in distress or they're worried, and we just care about them. We want them to do well. So we become too attached, and in the process, we might even lose ourselves. So something to consider is the practice of compassionate detachment. If you click onto or go to my website, excuse me, and click onto the blogs, I have a 2-part series that I've written on detached compassion or compassionate detachment, however you want to describe it. It goes a little bit more into detail. You might find that beneficial. But practicing compassionate detachment really helps us pull back, right? Do a little bit of monitoring of our moods and our triggers, of what's going on. Helps us reevaluate if we really are caring for ourselves as well while we're caring for other people. Super important. So the examples I gave above or before are just some potential signs that you are living for other people. So as you can see, many of the suggestions can be, applied to any of these situations. In the end, you have to experiment and you have to see what works for you. You can read all the books, you can get ideas, but how you know this works is when you practice it, when you begin to apply these small exercises, feel it, be a little bit with that fear, because sometimes we're afraid to be rejected, right? Rejected by our loved ones that we've always been there for them, or that we've had this long-term relationship with a friend or what have you. But if they don't understand in the end, then you know kind of where you're at with them. Okay, so just reminding you along life's journey that we all have great and unfulfilled potential awaiting us. So I wish you absolutely a great journey. Please comment below if you have any questions and you don't want to ask them in the YouTube comment section. You have my website, you have our information. Please definitely let us know how we can help you and how what are the resources we can give you. Thank you. Have a good one.